Hello there, and welcome to this Rugby League World Cup first round review. I'm your host, Super Saiyan Blue Lucario, so grab a cup of tea and join me as we dive into all the action from the first round of the 2021 World Cup. First up, we're going to go with Group A, starting with the hosts England against Samoa. Now here I predicted a close game, and as you can tell down below, my result was blown out of the water. However, when I did my preview video, as you can tell, which is linked in the description below, what I was saying was coming to pass, and we're going to go through that shortly. So I thought it would actually be effectively like I can speak the future. I can see the future with what happened, but for two crucial moments in the game. Now, England started like a house on fire, as expected. They were the host nation. They want to set down the marker for the tournament. And considering Samoa's team is littered with absolute world-class superstars, all the press back in Australia were saying that this isn't going to go well for England. Some even said that they physically cannot beat Samoa. So, as I thought England would get off to a fast start, they got over the line 3 times in the early stages without scoring, be it off mistakes or being held up, before eventually carving up that defence through Jack Wellesby to get that first score, and another 2 quick-fire tries put them into an early 18-0 lead. As I was thinking things were going, Samoa started very cold, but was gradually starting to work their way back into the game. They got an interception off the back of a very well-read pass, and Tago went 60 metres to score. Samoa all of a sudden back in the game. Their offloading game was starting to cause England problems because, structurally speaking, they just weren't at the races. Things weren't clicking. Yes, they were cold. I expected as the game wore on, things would start to work for them. They were having to rely on off the cuff to get anywhere, though, and the first of the big crucial moments was just before half-time when Samoa had a try disallowed by the video ref. It looked like it could have gone either way. The on-field call, possibly the crucial factor, with the knock-on being given, Samoa not getting that try, because at 6 points behind at half-time, it could have been any game, and the Samoans would have taken a huge amount of confidence there. However, early in the second half, England scored through Callum Watkins to put them 3 scores back in front again. But once more, Samoa's offloads causing England problems. Within reason. Because this was probably the best performance from England I have seen in a long, long time. The forwards are normally the ones that take the plaudits. But today was all about the back line, numbers 1 to 7. The likes of Jack Wellesby and George Williams absolutely running the show. The second big key moment in this game was a yellow card after a late hit from Anthony Milford on Sam Tompkins. It was high. He was a little fortunate, I thought, to get away with just the yellow. It looked like it was contact to the head and a shoulder charge, but off for 10 minutes instead. And this is where England showed their ruthless streak, scoring 4 tries in this 10-minute spell, and after the second of which, Samoa just seemed to completely give up. England scored a further 2 tries, despite Samoa getting back to 13 on the field, and by then, 60 points to 6. It was absolute destruction. Now, my SSBL man of the match for this one was George Williams. Everything good seemed to come out of the backs today, and this was by far and away his best performance of the year. His running game was electric. He had a hand in several of England's try scorers, but it's hard to pick just one. As let me stress this point, 1 to 17, England were absolutely excellent today, or on Saturday when the game happened. The second game is France against Greece. Now, my prediction for this game ended up being the actual result for the England-Samoa game. And as you can see, I was out by a fair margin on my prediction. And this is where I'll hold my hands up. My prediction, I underestimated the Greeks and what they would bring to the table off the back of their warm-up games and how the squad looked. Their commitment and desire against a vastly more experienced side was a true privilege and joy to watch. And they managed to score two excellent tries. And if you can see the highlights, I highly encourage you to. They were brilliant to watch. Considering the game of rugby league was illegal in Greece until recently because of government rules regarding sports, it is fantastic to see them on the field in general. Like, just in general, and the reactions videos coming from Greece in Athens reacting to their actually scoring points was absolutely lovely to see. Now, France, they were professional. Their forward pack was completely dominant and definitely the difference maker. Greece struggled to make yards going forward at all. But despite the win, it's not all roses for the French. Their kicking game was absolutely appalling. Considering the dominance in field position, it's easy to just plow on with a kicking game. And it just wasn't there. Honestly, the amount of kicks that went out in the full or straight down the fullback's throat, they weren't able to capitalize off the back of real dominance in the forwards. And I'm sorry, that has to be a worrying sign for them because they're going to face much better sides than the Greeks in the remaining games. Now, France can certainly improve. A win is a win, and they needed to make sure that was on the board to gain confidence going forward because they do have a big task ahead of them if they're going to be considered contenders to make the quarterfinals in this one. Greece, it's their first ever World Cup. They're enjoying the experience, and I'm sure as long as they continue to play their off-the-cuff style, might actually get some more points in the other games. Now, my man of the match for this one is Benjamin Julien, the French second row, played a huge shift. He was their top meter maker and scored two crucial tries when France looked to be a little disjointed. He certainly did settle them down. Now to Group B. Firstly, the Australia versus Fiji match. Now, this one, proud to say, I got bang on with my prediction. Fiji started very strongly and actually took the lead early on against a very new-look Australia side, but the class told. Australia had a monstrous, mammoth weight of possession, and all that defence, just began to take its toll. They began to find the cracks in the armour, got a couple scores up, and it looked like it was going to be one-way traffic after that. But Fiji, to their credit, they kept fighting. And very unlucky mistake almost saw them level the scores midway through the first half, but off the back of that mistake, the Aussies went the length through Josh Adokar, who, by the way, the referee showing a clean pair of heels to keep up with what is considered the fastest man in rugby league in that one. But from that point on, Australia just too good. Quick hands, slick movement, things were clicking. After a while, with this new look side, there were a lot of positive moments from them, a lot of very good performances. Cameron Munster was superb. Harry Grant was brilliant. And just generally, as Australia settled into the game, they looked more assured with themselves. And while they will rotate the squad to find out what their best side is going forwards, they'll have one eye on the knockout stage and understanding that there are tougher tasks to come, but it's definitely a good start for them. Now, my man of the match is Harry Grant. He was superb off the bench and will make a very strong claim for the starting number 9 shirt going forward. Keep an eye on the young man there. Now, the other game in Group B was Italy against Scotland. Again, I got the winner right, but I was a bit off on the margin. I predicted a much closer game than it was. Italy comfortably dismantled a very, very poor Scotland side. Now, Scotland did start brightly. Their forwards making good yards, but they just had no idea when they were in good ball territory how to break down the Italian defence. And a lot of that comes on the back of a very poor performance from the halfbacks, especially Bailey Hayward. The sixth, he's basically replacing Danny Bruff, who retired, and he just offered no spark. There was nothing on the kicking game, nothing creative from the side off the back of the good pressure from the forwards. And the fact that they just had nothing, the confidence fell away. And Italy gradually earned their way more and more into the game. They were led by Nathan Brown at loose forward, who was just a class above every other player on the pitch. And Italy were clinical. They took the chances when they were offered. That when they were presented the chance, they took them. They didn't really bomb any real opportunities. They got a couple of scores up in the first half. Scotland, though, will find themselves hard done by. There was a ball steal in the act of going forward towards the try line, which a Scottish player picked up and scored. But the referee was whistle trigger happy and blew for the penalty rather than allowing the advantage for the try. Now, they'll feel hard done by because the advantage of the try supersedes the penalty, which was actually done in one of the other fixtures, which was the try was given. So there needs to be a bit more consistency there. They'll feel harsh that maybe it could have sparked something for the second half, but they were second best the entire way through. Italy kicked on after halftime and were very, very well worth the win. There was a late consolation effort for Scotland, but it was too little too late, and off the back of some tired Italian defending. Now, my SSBL man of the match is the man I've already mentioned, Nathan Brown. A big shout out for the halfback Campagnolo. He looked very good out there. Example of a halfback doing his job right. The kicking game was good. It pinned down the Scots and was creative. He led the opportunities, hitting the back rows on some good lines. There's also a shout for Mazien, who scored a hat-trick. He was the first hat-trick of the tournament and on debut as well for the man, so congratulations there. And just Nathan Brown, man of the match, just a part of everything the Italians did right. On to Group C. Firstly, New Zealand versus Lebanon. Now, this one got the margin right. Well, the winner, at least. There's less points scored than I thought would be. I thought it'd be a higher scoring game than it was, but now this game was brilliant to watch. Lebanon, to their credit, really took it to New Zealand here. And while the pack was dominated for large parts of the game, because New Zealand's forward pack is on a level this year. It's much stronger than we've seen, certainly in recent World Cups, and is going to be a key factor in their assault for the title. But Lebanon's outside backs really did shine in this one. And when they were led by Victor Moses and Adam Doueihi, they looked very good. This is where world-class players can make or break a game. Lebanon started strong with a try on the first set of 6. But unfortunately, New Zealand, their class was there. Joey Manu getting a brilliant solo effort to level up the score. And then it was an even contest. There were chances on both sides. Neither side really taking them. Lebanon had some opportunities out in the corner. Just their finishing let them down a little, but they were creating the chances. Despite being penned into their own half, the kicking game really did keep them going. Victor Moses he had the ball on a string. And a number of 40-20s, a number of opportunities going forward. New Zealand looked in trouble. They were by far from the finished article, and they did look in trouble during this game. 2 quick-fire tries did turn the game and the tide, though, late in the first half for New Zealand. They were 18-6 up at halftime, but by no means was it a match-winning score. And Lebanon came out fighting again in the second half, scoring an early try through Abbas Miski with a brilliant finish in the corner. And all of a sudden, there's only 6 points in it. Lebanon had a chance to potentially level the game as well, but again, their finishing slightly let them down. Composure close to the line needs to be worked on. Their discipline was causing them problems, though, because when you give a forward pack the size that New Zealand has, cheap field position, cheap meters off the back of penalties, they will make it tell. And New Zealand did score the next try to pull in front. Off the back of the restart came the absolute game changer, though. There was a red card for Lebanon for dissent, foul and abusive language directed at the referee, and that pretty much killed off the fight and any chance of a comeback at that point. Down to 12 men against one of the best sides in the world. It's not good. It's not easy in the best of times to beat New Zealand. But New Zealand, they rounded off the game with absolute class, overcoming the stubborn resistance of Lebanon, who came close a number of times late in the match to try and get some further consolation scores to bring the game a bit closer. But New Zealand very well worth the win there. The performance will absolutely make people take note of Lebanon, though. They're not here to mess around. They're here to play. And if they keep all 13 players on the pitch, there's no telling what they can do. My SSBL man of the match, though, Joey Manu, the fullback, was absolute class for New Zealand. A brilliant solo effort and just looked a real threat every time he took the ball in. Off the back of brilliant work from the pack, who were just rock solid all game, making big yards. He chimed into the attack. He knew exactly when he needed to be there and would cause havoc with some amazing runs and great cover tackles to prevent a couple of scores as well from Lebanon. Next, Ireland versus Jamaica. Jamaica making their debut in the World Cup. Ireland, I wasn't sure how well they would click with a bit of a new look side. So I expected a slightly closer contest than what actually happened. As you can see, it was all about, I wasn't sure how well they gel. But Ireland, far too quick, far too strong, and just far too good for Jamaica. The Irish forward pack completely dominated and heavily restricted the yards the Jamaicans could make out of their own half, and being led around by Luke Keary, an absolute world-class halfback, and Joe Keys, it's the first time I've really seen him in action, the Halifax halfback. Very impressed with him. They both carved the Jamaican side up down the middle again and again. The only real concern in the first half from Ireland was the finishing. They created several chances to score, but for desperate defense or mistakes, they couldn't quite get the points on the board, and the goal kicking as well really wasn't at the races, but we all have those off days. Can't really say too much on that. But the Irish really did set their own marker for the World Cup. It was a clinical performance, and it was a class above. The forwards are very, very good for the Irish. And they do have the backs to cause the other nations trouble. And I think this one will make people sit up and take note of the Irish as well. Some people predicted Ireland to finish bottom of the group and get hammered in every single game. I don't think so. I think Ireland might surprise a few teams in this World Cup. Definitely. Now, there were some silly moments with Jamaica when they had good ball field position. They will learn from the experience. They had chances moving forward. Poor passes, poor choices of passes, letting them down. They did create their own chances. Came very close. They actually went to the video ref on a kick to the in-goal area, which unfortunately wasn't grounded. But they did get the largest cheer of the night when they landed a penalty goal to earn their first points of the competition. Unfortunately, they didn't look remotely like getting over the line in the second half. Ireland just oozing that class. Now, yes, Ireland will face tougher tests going forward in their remaining two fixtures, but the signs are good, and it will be foolish to write them off from making the quarterfinals. My SSBL man of the match is Joe Keys. I thought off the back of Luke Keary, he had an absolute field day and had a chance to showcase his class in the game. His passing game caused no end of trouble for the Jamaicans, and he set up a number of good scores from the wingmen, but 9 different try scorers showed the absolute dominance and ruthlessness of the Irish. Next, Group D, which, with my view, the best game of the round between Tonga and Papua New Guinea. Slightly closer than I predicted, only 1 score in it rather than the 2 that I thought. And the Comores of Papua New Guinea can count themselves very unlucky not to have won in all. Now, the Comores did lose Xavier Coates before kickoff, which meant they had a makeshift winger out wide, and that ended up coming back to bite them in the end. Now, Papua New Guinea came out flying. They scored very early through Rhys Martin before a contentious pass for the Tongan fullback to go in under the post, leveled the scores at 6 apiece. The two sides were battering each other with the forward packs, really coming out flying, holding absolutely nothing back as both sides looked for the edge. Papua New Guinea bombed a number of chances, a foot in touch out wide from the makeshift winger, and dropping the ball with the try line begging. Another case which could have seen Papua New Guinea 18-6 up. So they could have found themselves in front by halftime, but instead it was Tonga. 2 tries in 2 minutes right before halftime would give Tonga the ascendancy going in, and probably fortunate to be in front. I think the Tongan spine seemed a bit disjointed. The halfbacks weren't quite at their mercurial best, but the forward pack were laying the foundation to give them every opportunity. On the other side, the Papua New Guinean spine looked excellent. From fullback to the halves, they really were doing their job, and it was a fantastic game to watch. Early in the second half, Papua New Guinea did score probably the best try, one of the best tries of the tournament so far. Edwin Apape, a superb solo effort, bursting through tackle after tackle before a brilliant pass inside to Lachlan Lamb, who still had a lot of work to do to finish, diving in under the posts. 6 points in it, anybody's game. Then came a hugely controversial moment with a video ref decision denying Papua New Guinea a try to level it up. Now, I agree, based on what the video ref went to the screen for, or they went to the screen for by video ref, I agree with the decision of no try based on what was asked to be checked. The ball was grounded, and it looked like part of the ball was on the touchline as the ball was grounded. The on-field decision was no try. So at that point, the no try decision is fine. However, the Tongan fullback made absolutely no attempt to tackle the player, and it looked like a clear shoulder charge on camera, which is illegal. It is foul play. Now, foul play that prevents the act of scoring a try is by definition a penalty try. It prevented the try being scored. It should have been given as penalty try, which would have been the kick under the sticks off the back of a try given, which would have leveled the game up. The Cummels did eventually level things late on to make it 18 apiece before a penalty goal was missed by Tonga that could have won it all before the absolute final play of the game, with desperate offloading, desperate throwing the ball around, keeping it alive, leading Tonga to find a way over the line and get the win with literally seconds to go, 24-18. A crazy end to a crazy game. Now, Papua New Guinea, they're showing they're here to play. They're no mugs, and a very good bet to get out of the group in what is going to be the closest group of all. There's plenty of room to improve for Tonga, who will get some players back from suspension and injury as we go, but they'll need a bit more from their halfbacks if they are really to cement themselves as contenders. My SSBL man of the match is Edwin Apape. By far the best player on the pitch. He did not deserve to be on the losing side there at all. Finally, Wales against the Cook Islands. Now, this was a much lower score than predicted. This was off the back of the Cook Islands attack just really didn't click today like I was expecting. I thought it'd be a high-scoring, free-flowing affair. The free-flowing was definitely there in the first half. The ball was being thrown around left, right, and centre. Wales looked very sharp. Very dangerous and surprising off-the-cuff style play from Caleb Akins, Ollie Olds, and halfback Ralph really was causing the Cooks trouble, who seemed to just be hoping to batter their way through a Welsh side, mostly part-time. They thought they would overraw them with just pure power, and it just wasn't to be. The Welsh pride, they would not give in. An early score from them set the alarm bells ringing, so the Cooks did eventually sharpen up. The forwards were on top, and of course, a lovely piece of skill to send Anthony Gelling in leveled things midway through the first half. Welsh did get a score just before half-time to take the lead again before a penalty on the stroke of half-time, bringing it back within 4 points, which eventually crucial. The Welsh, they didn't have virtually any opportunities in the second half. The Cooks were just relentless, kept battering and battering and battering at the door, held up over the line 4 separate occasions. The Welsh kicking game was keeping them in the game as they were struggling for any yardage whatsoever. The problem with the second half for me was the Cooks, they were just lacking in creativity. It was all through the forwards. The halfbacks really weren't doing an awful lot, and they were really missing a trick as they have a mercurial fullback with a lot of talent who just needed a little bit of assistance to bring him into the game and using the advantage that the forward pack were generating, but it didn't click. Maybe in time, maybe with this game under the belt, it will happen, and it certainly will need to. The Cooks did eventually poke their noses in front with a dart from dummy half to crash over close to the line from one of the forwards, which made it 14-12. And they didn't really look back after that. Another disallowed try off a knock on before finally scoring in the corner with the winger to make it 18-12. It looked like they would kick on. It looked like they would pull clear and start to post points. But credit to the Welsh, they never gave up. They never gave in. A bombed opportunity, 2 minutes to go. We thought that was game over off the back of a poor kick at the end of the set. The first really poor one of the game from the Welsh. However, the Cooks didn't complete their set. The kick was charged down by Rodri Lloyd, who took the ball 10 meters from the Cooks line, which gave the Welsh 40 seconds to throw it all at them and very nearly snatched a draw at the death. Caleb Akins couldn't quite find the pass to his winger, which was knocked down by Gelling, who dived on it very gratefully. The Cooks held on for the win. Now, the man of the match for me was Essen Masters, the number 4 for Cook Islands. He looked threatening all day for the Cooks, caused no end of problems when he had the ball in hand. He came up with some crucial tackles at key moments to shut down Welsh attack. Now, what do we have to look forward to in round 2? Well, in Group A, England play France. England look like they're rotating the squad a little. But if they play anywhere near as well as they did against Samoa, it'll be a very hard day for the French. They'll need to be a lot strong. They'll be stronger in defense than what Samoa showed, but they need to improve their kicking game, especially if they're going to trouble England. Samoa need a response as they play Greece, and we expect a full response. They know they must win to stay in the competition, and they'll need to win well. They'll need to click. They'll need to gel. This is their opportunity to get it right. Greece, it's all about the experience of them against world-class players. Hopefully, they continue to entertain us in the next game. Group B, we have Australia against Scotland. And off the back of the first round, I really fear for the Scots. It'll take a superhuman effort just to keep the score down in this one, unfortunately. But good luck, Scotland. I know they'll throw everything they can. Fiji play Italy in one of the biggest games of the round. This will definitely decide who goes through the group with Australia, with both teams looking quite strong. Italy getting that win in that first game, all important. The pressure's on Fiji, who really have to step up after the Australia game. Their defense looked strong, and I think they have enough in attack to threaten the Italians. We'll just have to wait and see how this one goes. Group C, New Zealand against Jamaica. Another one, Jamaica, enjoy the experience against one of the world's best. It should be a comfortable win for the Kiwis in this one, but a fantastic occasion and a very rare occasion for Jamaica to play New Zealand in their first ever meeting. But Ireland played Lebanon in what I believe is the game of the round. Both performed incredibly well in game 1. It was always going to be a close one, and with this deciding who goes through with New Zealand, it all rides on this. A crucial factor here, though, is Adam DeWay. He is suspended after his red card, which could be a crucial factor in determining who comes out on top here. Group D, we have Tonga against Wales. The Welsh will give plenty of fighting spirit, but unfortunately Tonga have a stronger pack than the Cooks do, and probably better halfbacks who will not be making the same mistakes that the Cooks did. It's going to be a long day at the office, but the Welsh, they'll never quit. They'll never give in. Hopefully they give Tonga as good a game as they can. While PNG play Cook Islands in the final game. Xavier Coates' fit, the clinical nature, and the finishing prowess out wide could be the difference maker for the Comores, who need a win to stay in the competition. The Cooks must improve their attack, though, if they want to trouble the Comore defence, which will be harder to unlock than the Welsh was. And the Welsh gave everything they had. So that's what we got to look forward to. I'll see you next week for our round 2 review. Until next time, it's time for me to have a cup of tea.